For the next section we're going to cover here, we like to cover what were they thinking section sometimes, where we look at different property deals or properties that we think were maybe were either people paid too much or properties they shouldn't have gone after in the first place, probably.
Yeah, just kind of bad deals reviewed, where we look at a couple of properties. And what we looked at today earlier, or what we talked about earlier today, was properties that are unusable. Properties that don't have the right size and aren't buildable properties. And these people didn't lose, millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, but each one of these deals don't have any use. We don't understand why people bid at the auction, and to bid it up to $3,600 or to $5,100, you need at least two people to be able to bid it up to that price. And so, these are some examples of property. I mean, the one on the left, you could say, well, it's on a paper road, maybe that'll eventually get built, but it doesn't have a huge value attached to it either. So when looking at the property, it's not accessible, but what does that value say? It's, has an SEV of $300, so $600 value, and they spent $5,100 on it.
Yeah, these ones are absolutely crazy because, in both cases, the properties are obviously not usable, for any real purpose. They're not accessible, by any realistic means. They're both tiny properties too to begin with, but they started off with low opening bid amounts of maybe $400. If you picked up a property like that for $400, at least you're only losing $400. But they didn't. They kept bidding them up, and until they bid up like $3,600 and $5,100, which is a lot of money to pay for a piece of garbage. I mean, that property, that's way more than that property could ever sell for if you tried to list that property on the market on your own. Nobody's going to pay $5,000 for that little landlocked piece of property. So it's purely the auction emotions and people just getting in and trying to win a property before they really know what it is, because that's way over, the market value of a useless property.
Yeah. In fact, if we're looking at that one there on the left, that's a small strip of land. I don't know what it is, maybe 10 or 15 feet wide by maybe 150 feet, if that. And we can see it's directly behind the home. So there's absolutely no use that you can do it. I mean, the only possible use may be that property owner, and they may have been the one to let it go to auction because it doesn't have any use. So you completely limited your potential buyer pool as nobody. With both of these lots, essentially, they've kind of given their money away. And we don't like seeing this happen, but we see it happen all the times, on properties that, with just even some common sense or a little bit of due diligence, we're gonna know that we're gonna need to walk away from. But to bid up and to lose $3,600 or $5,100, is kind of sad to us, because just the fact that you guys are on watching the call is probably going to keep you from this group.
Well, yeah, I can just guarantee that whoever these people are, they couldn't afford to lose that money. That was probably true. They couldn't afford to really lose it. And so yeah, we hate to see anybody lose money when we know they really probably couldn't afford to do that. Now, let's jump over.
No, that's just a good point, because if they were a true investor, they would have realized that those weren't investor properties. They're getting caught up in hearing about tax sale investing and just going and bidding on properties without doing some research and doing some education.